What's up, everybody?
What the balls was that?
We got a new intro.
I do not consent.
It's spooky season. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Geek Boutique podcast. That's right. It is spooky season. We got a whole new intro. You can thank Joshua for the music and the audio, by the way. We've got a special guest tonight because we are going to be talking about the 2023 con season. That's right. For most of us, con season is now over. For those for who it's not over yet, it's really dwindling down now and coming to an end shortly. So we're going to be talking about our con season for 2023, what we're going to be up to during our off season, and maybe what we've got planned for next year. We'll see if we get that far. Before we introduce our guest, which everybody already knows, we will introduce Mr. Aka over here. How you doing, Jeff?
Fucking terrible. How are you?
I'm doing good. You want to let everybody know what's going on? That you're so terrible today?
What's going on? Nope, I sure don't. As JS pointed out, we are being joined by the lovely and talented CanadianComicCutie, since we did get to con with Cutie a couple of times this year,
right?
Amazingly enough. And we got to con with
for the first time this year. We got to see you twice.
Yep.
That's crazy.
Heidi ho, geekerinos. Well, Heidi ho there, Miss Nada. How are you today? Keith is saying hola, amigos. My Spanish is a little rusty, but hola as well. Jeff's still hungover from the beer Zuka. I mean, I didn't drink it all by myself. I'd like
you should have. We should have just made you do that.
Really should have. Yes, and then you're what? Like just pouring me.
I was flying home the next day.
Yeah, so. I know. I had to go and entertain the crowds, as it were. The crowds. Hi everybody. Hi Peter. Hi Peter Jarvis. The tens of people. Yeah, but for the subs, bud. Well, it's all good. It's all good. We were doing that at the con too, by the way. We had some one rings. We had this one right here.
Yeah.
You could get one of these if you showed that you had subbed to the channel. It's the only finger it fits on. Okay, like cut me some same thing. I got fat fingers. What am I going to tell you? Hulk out and smash that like button. Absolutely, yes. Never mind. I can see your little mind twirling around there. No, it's not that kind of show. It's not that kind of show. JS,
yes,
help me out here, man. I feel like I'm floundering. I'm a drowning man over here. Give us some direction. Where would you like to start? Do you want to get the Northern National conversation out of the way, or do you want to jump into talking about the end of the con season and what
I think we start with talking, reviewing our con season so far, right? We've all, between the three of us, I mean, we've been to probably like 20 cons
at least,
right?
I think I did 12 or 13 myself, and I'm not done.
You go. So, there you go. So
yeah.
I mean, I think we'd be remiss to not talk about what I think the first con of the year is usually March Comic Con for me anyway.
Right.
But the first con for everybody else as well.
Jealous. No, for me it was Calgary because that's in April.
Yeah. So March Comic Con, or Toronto Comic Con, March Comic Con. We call it March Comic Con because Toronto Comic Con and Fan Expo are run by the same company, which is Fan Expo HQ. So yeah, we call it the March Comic Con. Anyway, whatever. It doesn't matter. We had a great Comic Con this year. We were in the middle of the action. We had the Nikon 360 booth right across from us. All of the community booths were together, other than the 501st, but everybody else was together. Comic-Con, we had a real blast. We even made some new friends.
We made right behind us were the Canadian Podcast Awards.
That's right.
And we got to hang out with them and spend some time with them, and they were so super sweet, handing out drinks and snacks and stuff to all of the community booths and stuff. So Rob the Bad Guy saying Comic-Con was the Toronto Comic-Con, and at least our upper to this year, but Toronto Comic-Con, it definitely felt like we hit the ground running for sure.
Mm-hmm.
What's that look for?
Where you're going robot a little bit there. We're starting to lose you a little bit. You're back now, but yeah.
Okay, well maybe I don't know.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Turn the hockey game off.
It's not even the season yet. The home opener is not on yet. I was just saying, Rob was saying that Comic-Con was the best. It was definitely a good start for us, for sure. Like you said, we were kind of in the middle of everything. So Cutie, you said for you it was Calgary. What was Calgary like?
Calgary's really good, actually. It's almost the size of Fan Expo, but with all the construction going on, it's a little bit more chaotic because they have one entrance, so you have to come like all the way around the building to get to the next building, which is outside and across like a parking lot area.
Mm-hmm.
But it was good weather, so that's amazing because either we had snow, rain, or sunshine. Last year we had snow, so the parade got canceled. This year it was sunny and beautiful, so we were able to do the parade in full force. Honestly, it's one of the better cons here in Alberta just because we have the parade and it's a 4-day con as well.
The parade is such a good idea. I wish they did that here in Toronto.
It is so amount of people that come out.
Mm-hmm.
Crazy, and it's like for everybody. Like, you don't have to be a professional, you can just be anybody who wants to join. It could be store-bought costumes, homemade costumes, anything. They have celebrities in the parade, they have the mayor that does opening ceremonies. Like, it's so cool.
Yeah, the celebrities usually ride the parade like in a convertible, like they would back in the day, right? Like they'd have celebrities riding the parade.
Yeah, it's really fun.
And you're from there, right? You're living in
I'm gonna punch you in the face.
Oh boy, it never gets old.
Now, was Calgary the one where we had our good friend who just waved to us, Not Possible, there doing sort of a live remote for the one day?
Yes, so she was there, and it was great to see her. Like, it was amazing because I only get to see you guys usually once a year, but having her come to Calgary was fantastic. So got to hang out with a bunch of people from Toronto, which is really cool. She did some live stuff for you guys there. Yeah, I think this was her second or third time there. I can't quite remember, but the first time I seen her at the convention. So
yeah, I believe she'd been there before.
She lived out there at one point. So
there you go.
She had been there a few times before, but back in the day before they moved into Ontario. So
right.
Yes, she was our intrepid reporter in the field, and she
she filmed the whole parade for me, and that was dope. I mean, Matt actually filmed the parade, but
we were right by the front. We were right after like the marching band, and then they had like the kids in the hall, and then they had something, and then they had our huge wrestling group right behind the next celebrity that was coming up. So we were like literally the first people you've seen on the parade route. So I think there was like 14 or 15 different wrestlers, from like back in the day wrestlers to the new age wrestlers. So it was really, really fun.
Wrestling has really gotten popular at the Comic-Cons, and I do remember when they first started to hit the Comic-Con circuit, all the nerds and the geeks were like, "What are wrestlers doing here? That's got nothing to do with it. These guys don't belong." They were all up in arms about it, and now. Yeah. Like if you go to especially cons like Niagara Falls Comic Con is a good example where they specialize. They bring in a ton of wrestlers, and you can always tell where the wrestlers are in the celebrity areas because you can't move in that area.
Yeah, it's always rammed where the wrestlers are.
Swamped with people. So yeah, it's definitely like it's almost like they've become more. They're becoming more of a pop culture con than they are anything else, right?
Yeah, and actually that's where the Can Cosplay card belt debuted. Was in Calgary.
Oh, you mean my belt? You mean my championship belt? You mean my belt? Oh, okay. That's what I thought. Well, no one pinned me for it, so clearly it's my belt. But yeah, that's super cool. So after April, the Geeks and Co. Anyway, we would have gone right through to Fan Expo.
Oh.
Right? As far as a group.
Yeah. So as far as the Geeks and Co. Yes, the next show after Comic-Con was Fan Expo.
Yes.
But
there were shows in between that some of us did. Yes. We had our May the 4th event that we did in London.
That was amazing, by the way. I can't say enough how well that went and the amount of people that came out, and I was so happy with how that turned out. The London cosplay crew is bar none the best cosplay crew around. I mean, you guys are awesome. Everybody showed up. We sold out of our beer by like 8:00.
That's fantastic.
The cans and the keg.
Yeah, like I was only able to get a 6-pack of beer to bring home, of which I only have one left. Yeah.
Same. I have one left as well. Actually, I have two because now I have Steve's signed can that I have to give to him.
But that's not yours. That's his.
Yeah, I know. No, well, I mean, it might be mine.
It's we sold out of our beer. Like it was awesome. Like awesome. I mean, we raised a little bit of money. We didn't raise a ton of money, but for our first time
for
amazing.
what is this? What essentially was like a 5-hour evening. I think we actually did pretty good. You know what I mean? For the time that we had, I think we did all right. Especially since we were literally all the money we raised was just from raffle tickets. Like, I think we did pretty good. So yeah, May the 4th was the best. Danny is saying so. And
Chris Gillings is saying,
I'll be sure to be in London for May the 4th next year. Yeah, you need to come for sure. Yeah.
And Chris is saying can't wait for a 2024 or May the 4th event. Yeah, you better have a friggin' Star Wars cosplay this time.
Well, I'll try not
Don't let Jeff zip you in.
I'll try not to bust the ass out of your costume this time,
Don't let
Chris.
Jeff zip you in.
Listen, he's got a Batman costume. It doesn't have a U zipper. It's got a zipper straight up the back. He asked me to zip him up in the back. I didn't know he had a badonkadonk, so I'm trying to fucking zip it up, and it just went like he literally had to take it somewhere and have it fixed because he's got too much ass, and suddenly it's my fault because it was my finger on the zipper at the time. It's not my fault he does a million squats a day. Like, that's my fault? I don't think that's my fault at all.
I mean, if you would have paid attention to the booty, you would have known better.
I mean, I think we all know. Anyways, so that was very cool. That was a fun event. So then what would have been next for you, Cutie? Edmonton?
No, it was actually GameCon Canada, which was in
GameCon in July. End of June, beginning of July?
In July, yeah.
In July?
Yeah. So that was the first year it happened. It was good. Don't get me wrong. It was really great. The stage was fantastic. The setup was amazing. Everybody, it was like smooth going, things like that. But it was a lot smaller than I expected it to be. Mainly vendors. Like, I'm used to having the halls filled with vendors, but the stage literally took up half of the main hall, which was fantastic. And they had stuff going on the stage all the time, but there was a very limited amount of vendors. And I don't know if because it was the first con, if they didn't want to oversell vendor space or, that type of thing, because it does happen. With being a new con, everybody's like, is it going to be worth it? Stuff like that too.
Yeah.
But the vendors they had were amazing. Everybody seemed to be doing really, really well with sales. I did ask a couple of people that I knew, and they said they were doing fantastic. They had a ton of things for families. They had a huge gaming area, like the tabletop gaming and stuff like that. Like, it was a really, really good event. Like, I'm excited to see if they go bigger next year with more vendors.
Yeah, they were on the show 4 or 5 months before the con, and that was a conscious decision that they had made to not have a lot of vendors. Their way of seeing it was more on a fan side of things, where you go to a con and they tend to sometimes turn into just these giant flea markets.
Yeah.
Right. Where it's just the same stuff being sold in every booth. Right. So they made a conscious decision of they didn't want it to be that. But the vendors that they were going to have were going to be very, very specific to the gaming industry.
And that was amazing. And I will say, when you go to conventions, or at least like Calgary and Edmonton for myself, if you want to play any VR or any of like the gaming things, you have to pay. I loved the fact you did not have to pay when you went to GameCon Canada. You were able to go and play any of the games that they had set up, things like that. It was all free for you to just do. Like, it was really, really well done. But things like the free Warhammer paint figure, where it was located was right by a main walkway. And it always had a crazy big line. So it was hard to navigate around. So things like that, which you don't see in foreshadowing, right?
So they had a lot of people there.
They had a ton of people.
Oh, that's good.
Great. And the contest, oh my God. Like, this was the contest that every cosplayer should have freaking signed up for. Like, they did cash prizes. They had amazing judges. The talent was mind-blowing. Like, it was such a really good event. So I do hope they bring it back next year, and I do hope they do have some more vendors, but more of like the Warhammer painting sessions and things like that. They don't have to be the pop figures, they don't have to be the stuff that we see at every convention, but more of like the game shops and things like that, because the lines were crazy to play anything. So if you didn't have a ton of downtime to go and stand in line, you didn't get to play the things that you wanted to. And they weren't just like play one round and peace out. Like, you got to finish a full Smash Bros whole round before they kicked you out. So you got to play quite a bit on all of the game systems too. So that was really cool.
Let's give a quick shout out to our boy Aaron from Goes, who does the mobile gaming throughout Ontario. Same type of setup, but it's always free no matter where he goes. He does CNE. He was just at Windsor with us. He's done some of the London cons as well. Just has all the dopest setup. JS actually got a chance to sit down and play some. Was it Battlefront you were playing on the PSVR?
It was Battlefront. It was like an X-wing fighter thing. So I don't know. I mean, I know Battlefront is more than just that, but yes, it's I don't know if it's an expansion or if it's a side game but it was dope as hell. It was for PS4, I think.
The
it wasn't even PS5.
Yeah.
Or the first PSVR.
It's PSVR 1.
Yeah, and it was.
I was playing Duck Hunt, just so you guys know. Yeah, that's what I was
that's
doing.
A classic. That's
yes, exactly. That was pretty cool. But Aaron takes his stuff all over the place, and CK Expo actually, he's got a huge place spot in CK Expo that they give him too. So maybe it was Squadrons. Maybe that's what it was. That sounds familiar. No,
Star Wars Squadrons. Maybe it was.
Yeah.
Honestly, and like going to other expos, so you know how at Northern National they had like the stage in the middle of the vendors?
Yeah.
It's kind of the same idea that GameCon had it, where it was kind of like vendors were all behind it and stuff like that. So you could still hear everything going on while you were at the vendors. So it kind of brought you to the stage. I thought that was really, really smart. And it was very interactive. Like even the celebrities were at booths. So they weren't at like the booths at Fan Expo where you stand in a line and go and see. A lot of them were at like Warhammer's booth, and so you'd go there and you'd walk around the Warhammer booth and you could go and see like the people. Like it was really cool that way. So it seemed like it was more based on the people who liked the games that they were in versus just I'm sitting here at a table, come say hi. So I think it did kind of sway people to go to those booths because they could also meet the celebrity as well as, you know, look at the merchandise. And they had full-fledged games and stuff happening right on the main stage too. So if you're into D&D and those types of games, you could sit there and listen to a campaign and stuff like that and kind of get the
nerds.
Shut up.
Nope. Never.
I hope it went well enough for them to want to come out east.
They, I guess, are supposed to have an announcement tomorrow.
Oh, really?
So
watch your posts, guys. I was gonna say watch your fingers put your fingers on the pulse of it. And I was like, no, that's gonna go all bad all over the place. So that was July.
They're not going over to you guys. They're staying by us. We need something cool.
They can do both. Shut up. So that would lead us into August, and that would lead us into Fan Expo, I would think. Anyways, there were some smaller events that some of us, like I went to CK Expo in, I believe it was May this year. We did the Ren Fest this year as well, which we're doing again this year. I did Forest City Comic-Con, which was in there as well. I was a special guest judge at that one. So that was all cool. Smaller events, but nice, small, local events that, I mean, CK Expo is my home away from home. It's going to 2 days this year, guys, by the way. April, I think 27th and 28th this year. It's the 10th anniversary, and it's the first time they're doing 2 days. So some very, very exciting stuff happening in Chatham, Kent. But then we got the Fan Expo, and we spoke pretty at length on the post show about our experience as the Geeks and Co. at Fan Expo. So we probably don't need to drag all that out again. But overall, what did you think of the show as far as compared to previous Fan Expos? Jess, I know you haven't been to a ton of them, but and Cutie, I guess probably you haven't been to a ton of them either.
I've been to 4.
Okay, that's quite a bit. So
yeah, this is my 5th Fan Expo, I think.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
You know.
Yeah, so you guys are doing all right. So what did you guys? How did this year's show compare? Try to forget where we were, because I know it made it tough to see the whole show from where we were.
Well, that's the thing, right? It was hard to see how busy it actually was out there because it wasn't busy where we were, right? So to me, it felt like it was way less busy than the previous year. I remember last year them coming around and telling us, guys, I know you're vendors, but if you leave the building, you're not coming back in. We're over capacity. They oversold the show, and they flat out told us, if you leave the building, you won't be able to come back in.
Right.
That's how many people were there last year. I very much doubt there was anywhere close to that this year.
Just want to point out, Sam, you can thank JS for the clickbaity thumbnail there. It's the end. As the title
of the con season.
Absolutely. It's just of the con season. JS and Jeff, y'all got to send me a full schedule of Ontario cons. I'm happy to. I think I get to a few more than JS does. Now. So I'm happy to send you the ones that I attend, since you and I are only about an hour apart now, dude. JS is a little further out. He's on the other side of Toronto, so it's a little bit more difficult for him to get to some of the stuff that's closer to us type of thing. So
yeah, and a lot of them are more out your way. So
yeah, this is yelling, this is the end, whispering of con season.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Yeah.
I love that.
But there's
Freakish
so
is saying,
many,
like,
man.
because
Like,
Noah saying it was amazing because Cutie and I met for the first time, and then and Geeks and Co. Those guys too. Thanks, Noah. Fucking guy.
I adore you.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, no, Fan Expo was definitely different this year for us. Like, I know you guys talked about it on the podcast and how, like, where you guys were set and stuff. We were in the same space.
Yeah.
So we had the same experience, but different in the sense of with the Can cosplay cards, we
it
actually
really worked for you guys.
It worked fantastic. And honestly, I think the reason it worked so well for us is because you guys had the meetups. If you guys didn't have the meetups, we wouldn't have had anybody in that room. So at the meetups, I was doing my little like gremlin thing and going and like snagging people to come and talk to us. So it worked out fantastic. And we ended up selling out a whole series and a half essentially just from Fan Expo. So that is amazing for Can Cosplay cards. For me personally, I didn't get away from the booth very much. And when I did, it was short-lived.
At all? I didn't see you leave that booth at all.
I left once. Once for sure, and the other
fine.
times were like bathroom breaks. But I did make it to the other building once, and it was busy. It was very busy, and then I made it back, and I essentially stayed in the room. The
You're like, fuck that.
Well, it was more of I didn't know if I had people at my booth, and I didn't want to leave it high and dry. So I was like, like we had Not Possible and them hanging at our booth too, but they had things going on and stuff too, and I didn't want to obligate them to things that we didn't have a schedule. So it was really hard to
I'm shocked.
Right? To figure out where was going where and stuff like that.
The Geeks and Co Fan X video is done now, says editor Megan. It will be posted soon. Memories from the room down the hall.
It's going to be called the is it going to, what is it? Oh God.
Club Cosplay.
Thank you. I was like, why was that so complicated?
The meetups at Fan Expo were fantastic, is saying Keith. That's something that we started doing at the Fan Expo previous, and we continue doing that at Toronto Comic Con. And especially, again, big shout out to Teresa. She wrangles cosplayers in ways that like border collies wrangle sheep. It's crazy how well she does with getting all the cosplayers to get them to do what they need to do. And you can see that appreciation that they have for her as well, because a lot of the times we're all just kind of milling about waiting for people to take pictures. And she's like, no, this, no, I want this. Now you stand here. Now you get over here. Now you get down. Now you're tall. Go in the back. She's very, very good about getting, and her whole opening line every time it's a big group. If you can't see me, I can't see you. So make sure that you can see me. Otherwise you're not in the picture. So that's cool. I think that's kind of where and I'm glad it helped you guys like on the periphery as well. Like,
honestly, like I said, if you guys didn't do the meetups, I don't think we would have achieved what we did.
Imagine if anybody knew that we were there and we were having meetups and we had hundreds of people as opposed to tens of people. Anyways, we don't want to get into that. Clearly, the big guest, by the way, was Hayden Christensen, because our busiest day was Saturday, and our busiest day was Saturday because the lineup for Hayden Christensen was right outside our door. So by like osmosis, we had people coming into the room like, oh shit, there's people down here. Yeah, we've been down here all fucking weekend. So that part was cool anyways. And everybody that I've seen that's posting about their pictures with Hayden, which seems to be everybody on fucking Canada's, the whole, like everybody that was there, seemed to think it was a great experience, even though it must have been like, picture next.
Yeah.
He seems happy. He seems smiling in every picture. He doesn't look miserable, since the fact he probably took like 8,000 pictures that weekend. He still looks like he's smiling in all of them. So good on you, Hayden, for giving everybody a pretty good experience. I heard Stephen Amell was kind of a dickhead again. So, but that seems to be every time he comes out. So
it hasn't changed. I see him right when Arrow started, and there was a convention here in Alberta called Geek. And it was like this teeny tiny one in St. Albert, which is like north of Edmonton. And it was the same type of thing. And I was kind of like, my guy, you're literally the only headliner here. Like, act like you want to be here.
Nope.
Yeah.
It sure doesn't. Experience. Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and shit talk Stephen Amell for the next however. I did hear more than one story from even this fan expo saying that it was not a fantastic experience with Mr. Amell. So, Stephen, I hope you're okay. Hey, man, if you want to be on the podcast to talk about it, we're more than happy to have you on. Sure, no
It was
problem
the
at
Screamcast.
all. I'm sure you're listening and watching right now. I'm sure this is your favorite weekly podcast to listen to.
The Screamcasts were for sure the highlight of Fan Expo as far as the celebrity goes.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just a little bit disappointed that they would focus so much on Scream. They had them all. They were all there. They were the biggest group. They were the biggest deal. Everybody was dressed up in freaking Ghostface. There was so many Ghostface that weekend. It was nuts. But there was no horror section.
Nope.
I know. That was really weird to me, too. That was usually my favorite part to go through.
I don't understand it. Like, they've completely gotten rid of all of the horror stuff. And I know we've talked about it before, but
yeah, and it's not like it's not a huge draw at the cons, especially at the Toronto cons. It never really has been because it's already sort of a niche thing already, and it's a niche thing at a niche thing. So it's never been like a massive draw, but to have the entire cast of Scream there and then excise in the entire horror section out of the con seemed a really, really weird choice. And I know they're trying different things this year. They had the tattoo alley, which I think
was okay.
Took the place of the horror section.
Yeah, do they not usually have tattoos at your expos?
They'll have one or two people doing them, but not an alley where it's like an entire 2 rows of
There's like 6 or 8 of them.
Or yeah. There usually be like 1, maybe 2 that's doing it. They've just bought a booth and whatever. But yeah, Frightmare is a thing. I get that. I went to the very first Frightmare that they had. I got invited there, and I haven't been back because, again, same thing. It was like one room that for me it wasn't worth the drive. So hi guys, it's Frightmare at the Falls worth going to. Not really iconic. I guess just wondering if anybody has been. From what I understand, Brian, and that's what Jax is saying too, is that is great. It has grown since that first one when I went. So I think if horror is your thing, it probably is worth it. And I'm going to say to you what I say to people contemplating going to Niagara Falls Comic Con too. You're still in fucking Niagara Falls, man. Like, it's still like a great town to be in, right? There's so many sites to see. You've got Clifton Hill. You've got 2 casinos. You've got the falls themselves. You've got the American side if you want to go over there and check that out. You're still in a very cool touristy area that you get to have a good time at, even if the show you're going to is not like the best. Thankfully, Niagara Falls Comic Con is pretty fucking dope. But I mean, all we did was drink it on the patio the whole 3 days. But I mean, still, it was still a good time. But so for you guys, Frightmare might be worth it for that day. I don't know. For me, I'm not a huge horror guy, so it's not worth it for me. But
no, if anything, we'd go to the Wonderland.
Okay, so Sam is saying it's 3. So when I went, it was 1 day in 1 room. Now it's 3 days and the whole convention center now. So clearly it's gotten a lot bigger. So maybe give it a shot if horror is your thing. Like, I know our friends Lacey and Jeff from Lindy Cosplay Splice or something. They're huge horror fanatics. I'm sure they'll be there. You'll probably see some people from the area there if you're going to go. I'm assuming that's this month at some point, probably towards the end of this month, probably closer to Halloween at some point. I'm going to say, I'm going to use my keen detective skills.
Okay there, Batman.
All right.
Like I was saying, if you're more in the GTA area, we have the Wonderland Halloween Haunt, where you go and you get to ride all the rides up Canada's Wonderland at nighttime in a horror setting with
amazing.
Yeah, people dressed like they hire people to dress up and scare you. And if you don't want to get scared, you can wear the necklace thing, and they won't bother you.
It's my safety necklace. Please don't scare me. I don't want any jump scares. This is my safety necklace, and I have to wear it all the time just to be safe. What do they have anything like that out your way, Cutie? For those of you wondering, Cutie's out I think she's in Calgary or something. It's out west. It's all the same.
It's in Edmonton, okay.
Flat, plain nothingness out there. But
jerk face.
Is there anything out your way in Edmonton way? Sorry, Edmonton.
They do have like a lot of haunts and stuff here that happen throughout October. They also we have Fort Edmonton, which is like the heritage type stuff, and they have like a Ferris wheel and like a midway section there, so they do like a haunt thing there, which is kind of cool, but nothing crazy big as far as I know. But they may be mixing it up. Who knows? They always switch everything every year, and then COVID hit, and then everything canceled, and everything's slowly starting to come back. So,
Megan Avery, I wear the necklace, Jeff. What you want to see my shocked face? Jeff looks
Now,
so bored by
Cutie,
horror. I don't know if I'm bored necessarily, but it's just not my thing.
you know what? Hang on. Let me go into my profile here because when we were chatting, you mentioned a list
Yes.
of
So
cons.
my next one after Fan Expo was Edmonton Expo. So in my hometown, home
Yeah.
base, which was literally like I think it was 2 weeks after Toronto. 2 weeks, a week, 2 weeks, something like that. And I literally came home from Toronto and started a big build to build for Edmonton.
Oh, really? Wow. In a couple of weeks.
Yeah. So from
What
start
was
to
the
finish,
build?
Charizard.
Oh, that's right. That's right. We
Yeah.
were talking about
So
that this weekend.
yeah, so I made that for Edmonton, and I adore Edmonton. It isn't as big as a lot of the conventions, but
Mm.
their artist alley is always fantastic. The artists that we have that come there, it just seems like that's the place you always want to be. We had decent celebrities. The disadvantage with going to so many cons, I find for me anyways, is that everybody goes to the same cons for celebrities because they're locked into contract to do a circuit. So once you've been to one convention that have them, you don't really care about them when they come to another convention.
Wait, so
And then
being that Edmonton Expo, Calgary Expo, Fan Expo, Toronto Comic Con, Vancouver Fan Expo, Baltimore, Philly,
Boston.
MegaCon, Boston, like they're all owned by Fan Expo HQ
oh,
now. So
Yep.
are you saying these celebrities, like the Screamcast, they're going on tour and they're doing all these conventions?
I don't know that they necessarily do them all, but I think they end
I
up
think they're
signing
locked into
exclusivity
6.
contracts.
I think they're
Right?
locked into 6 six
Wow.
cons they
Okay.
have
Yeah.
to attend a year, I believe. Don't quote me on that. I know that it's like that for cosplayers. But you're locked into 6 conventions under the headquarters logo. So you could go to any ones that you think are near you or when you have time in your schedule or things like that.
Mhm.
So most of the time, if they've been to Calgary in April, they're coming to Edmonton in like September. So it's like we just kind of get the same thing repetitively, and especially because I do Calgary, Edmonton, and Toronto, I see the majority of them everywhere. So it's very like it
Mhm.
is what it is.
No, Stephanie's saying Edmonton was a good show, so
It was a good show. I do find Edmonton is definitely like downsized from past years. Um, but it is still like a really good show. We have a lot of community stuff there. The Can Cosplay Cards had a booth there. We also have MacGuffin, which MacGuffin is
Mhm.
honestly so amazing. I know you guys got to meet one of the people from MacGuffin in Toronto. They actually just released the second part of Edmonton's music video today. So
Matt
that's really
Salem.
cool. Yes, he's so nice. But yeah, like those are my favorite things. So I hung out at the booth a lot because I'm in this big winged cosplay with this big tail, and walking through everything was a little bit impossible, but it was pretty good.
So, I mean, you do like 100 cosplays a year. I mean, I think everybody knows that by now. You any reason you have to do like a 30 days of cosplay, you'll do
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Convention cosplays.
Mhm.
Other than Charizard, were there any new convention cosplays this year?
I'm trying to think. I want to say Darth Talon, essentially, just because I had done a body
But
paint.
you had done that for a long time ago, though,
I
didn't
did
you?
body paint though. I didn't do like the full costume, so I had to pull everything together. My Ursula Sith that I did, that was brand new. I did Rhea Ripley with the wrestling group as well. But honestly, because I did so many when COVID was a thing, I'm like, none of these have seen the light of day other than a photo shoot. So I've been trying to wear my bigger builds that I did during COVID to conventions. So I'm not doing con crunch if I don't want to. I don't have to not worry about having something ready. I have so much in my closet. It's ridiculous.
So there's going to be a bunch of new ones next year.
Yes, 100%. And like even with Charizard was honestly, I leave Fan Expo and I feel so inspired. Like I know it sounds cheesy and all that jazz, but being in Calgary and Edmonton, not to sound rude, but I see the same people. A lot of people do the same cosplays, which there's nothing wrong with it. But there's not a lot of people who do what I do for cosplay. So like the obscure stuff or the random stuff or like things like that. Whereas Toronto, I found a hexadecimal. I found a fucking hexadecimal. Like, are you kidding me? And all of you guys just inspire me because I look at that costume and go, I could never do that.
Oh, hexadecimal from Reboot?
Yeah. And so I always look at it and go, oh, I want to do
yeah,
it
she
so
came to the
bad.
villain shoot actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I always think I can never do it because I never see anybody else do it, and I learn by viewing stuff. And so coming to Toronto and seeing these cosplays brought to life really inspires me to then go home and be like, you know what, this has been in my like build book for 6 years. Let's go. So I ended up making it. Yeah, my Power Girl Jessica Rabbit was brand new for Toronto too. But yeah, so that's my thing is I have so many costumes that I need to show off a bit before I decide to make new ones. But
Yeah, that's what Eric's saying too. Fresh feeling gets creative juices flowing. Yeah, there is nothing like seeing somebody's absolutely baller kick ass, some other person's cosplay that hits you on an emotional level to get you thinking, what can I do that's going to kind of match that? See, I get that every single fucking time I go out with these guys and they come out of the room in their Predator outfits. I'm like, God damn it. I got nothing on these. Like, that's crazy.
Get definitely an inflatable Predator, so you can just walk around in like those bobbly inflatable Predators.
That's not a bad idea, actually. I was looking to get like the dinosaur suit, one of those inflatable dinosaur suits, and start going around, tooling around in that, and trying to fight them in that. But
let's be honest, you've got 2 wicked new cosplays coming next year, so don't. You know,
no. I wasn't meant to be like, oh, poor me. You guys inspire me every time you guys walk out in those suits. That's all I meant.
Well, I appreciate that.
So
I appreciate that.
It's the absolute truth. Then we did London Comic Con.
Yeah.
Which I think overall, probably we have the best experience.
Yeah. London Comic Con was my favorite con all year. 100%.
And see, that was the same weekend as Edmonton.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
We got to do a couple of really cool things that I feel like we hadn't done before. First of all, for whatever weird reason, they gave us the biggest booth in the place.
No joke.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, really. Like, I think it was even bigger than the 501st. We had a lot of space. It was probably on par, at least, with the 501st booth.
Yeah.
It was definitely bigger than any of the other community booths. And yeah, it was just such a good time. And we got to do a couple of celebrity interviews on the main stage.
Amazing.
Brian Hebert, renowned
Kyle Hebert.
Kyle. Yeah, what did I say?
He said Brian Hebert. It's Kyle Hebert.
Kyle Hebert was there. Renowned voice actor, over 600 credits on IMDb, almost exclusively doing anime dubs for the last 25 years. Super, super cool guy to talk to.
And video games.
And some more actual cartoons as well, outside of the anime world. So, and then, of course, the big one, we got to interview Mr. Incredible Hulk himself, Lou Ferrigno, which, I mean, come on, man. The dude stood up, looked me in the eye, and said, we did a great job. And I was like, okay, if I die tomorrow, my life has been fulfilled. And then, yeah, for me, it's great because it's one of those things where, like, kind of like what you were saying with Cutie, when Edmonton is kind of like holds a special place in your heart because you're from there. Not only is it already like in my hometown where I was raised, but these guys come and they say, this is the favorite con that I've been to this year after everything that we've done and all the bullshit that we went through. To have my guys come to my town and say, this is my favorite. I don't know. It's kind of, there's not a whole lot in London to be proud of, to be from London, but that was actually pretty cool that they were so like happy and excited that we got to do that. So everything we did in London this year, the May the 4th, the Free Comic Book Day, we took JS to a place here in London called Heroes for Free Comic Book Day. And it's like the Silver Snail used to be. It's just like a mecca of like collectibles and comics and games, and it's multi-level. It's a whole thing.
All sorts of stuff.
Like, JS had to give Jen his wallet because otherwise it was going to be a problem. Like, he was like, just his eyes were just like, he looked like a kid on Christmas, man. It's like, oh my God, Daddy, Papa, I can't believe everything. It was fantastic. It was so good.
Yeah, it was something else. When I stepped foot in there, wow, that opened my eyes. Yeah. For sure. 2 stories. Well, a story and a half.
Yeah, a story and a half. They have an upstairs where they've got more stuff and stuff.
Yeah, they got like half of the second floor.
Yeah.
They got more stuff and stuff. Yeah. We had stuff stuffed up there because holy cow.
Yeah, I mean, the princess crowns were great. 5 out of 7 Geeks and Company like to have a crown on their head, apparently. The meat vendor guys were super cool. Our neighbors were very patient with us. We were working the microphone. We did our dad joke thing.
I will say this. London this year was fantastic because not only did all of the cosplay crew show up in London, which was amazing. It wasn't crazy busy like some of these other cons. Like you go to Toronto Comic Con and you're literally dancing monkey for 8 hours straight of just people wanting to come up and take pictures and take pictures and take pictures. Whereas in London, we were actually able to enjoy the con, right? To hang out with people and dance and, you know, go have a drink and, you know, like it was less us putting on a show and it was more us attending a con again, if that makes any sense. We
No,
just
it
happened to
totally
have a booth.
does.
And you
Yeah.
get a chance to actually interact with people too, instead of it's just like
Yeah.
it's almost like with a celeb. It's just like picture next, picture next, picture next. You get to actually have a conversation with people, interact with
More
them.
intimate.
A little more intimate. Yeah, maybe not quite as horny as you're making it, but yes, definitely more intimate for sure.
But again,
Keith
you know,
was saying you guys killed it with Lou. Thanks, Keith. It was a fantastic interview to do with him. He was very generous with his time, especially with everything that he had going on at that point. We didn't think we were going to get to talk to Lou at all. And then last minute we did get to talk to Lou in front of everybody. So that was pretty cool. Yeah, Eric saying definitely slower than last year. No question that it was slower. By the way, guys, it wasn't slow by any stretch of the imagination. There was never a time where we looked around and like, this con's empty. It was still a very well attended con, but last year it was fucking bonkers. Like
bananas last year.
And remember last year too, guys, I don't know, Cutie, if the cons out west were like this too, but the cons here out east, because it was the first cons coming back from COVID and everybody had been locked up for 2 years, everybody was so eager to get out. Everything was fucking jammed to the hills. Like you couldn't move anywhere in the cons last year.
That was a problem too, because like I said, especially in Calgary, they had one entrance and one type of exit. So the lines were stupid. And then they have like the BMO and the like big four where you have to walk through, but it was all construction. So they had this teeny tiny hallway essentially with these grates across it where you had to walk through to get to the next building. So it was like you were standing in line forever to get through, and everybody's like, oh, well, COVID's lifted, everybody's in masks and we're all like shoulder to shoulder. It's like, okay.
Yeah,
that's what Comic-Con felt like there was so many people. At one point on the Saturday, I swear it was just a wall of people.
Yeah, you couldn't move
from aisle to aisle.
Yeah,
that were just getting herded down the aisles, right? Like you couldn't. Like there are points in the day where if you wanted to stop at a vendor and you couldn't.
You're screwed.
Yeah,
you couldn't. You're
just walking around. You're just looking around like, how the fuck is the fire marshal not come in and shut this place down? Like, there's no. If there was a fire, everybody in here is dead. There's no fucking way anybody's getting out of this place. Like, everybody's just gonna be crispy bacon. I'm so sorry, but
crispy bacon.
I'm sorry, but
we
there was
did
no way.
Hear that's kind of what happened with Fan Expo and why everything got shuffled around at the last minute was fire marshals came in and said no more.
Well, I think that's also why they started doing the scanning of the badges too, is to kind of do a better head count of who's going where.
They were doing that last year too, and it was still a fucking madhouse. So I mean, I don't know if they're just not keeping up with that or not, but I mean,
scanning of the badges to get into rooms makes no sense.
No, that's stupid.
You want to scan a badge to get into the building?
That's fine.
You want to control who's coming in and out of the two buildings because, you know, you're going to be over capacity.
Yeah, but coming into a room that you already had to scan your badge to get through the door.
So stupid. Yeah. That'll definitely. We do have a meeting soon. It's not scheduled yet, but we have a feedback meeting with the person that was running our side of the cosplay stuff from Fan Expo. So we will be talking to them, and hopefully we can get some stuff sorted out and see what's going to happen for next year. But then finally, I guess, for all of us would have been the Northern National that we were just at this past weekend. Yes? No? Cutie? What else did you have in there?
She did Rose City.
Oh, you did Rose City.
Yeah, so my September was nuts because it was literally Fan Expo, Edmonton Expo, Rose City, and then Northern National.
So where was Rose City? Where was Rose
Portland.
City? In Portland, right?
Yes, so stateside con. I love Rose City. It's really
Michigan
really nice.
Or Oregon?
Oregon. Yeah. So I have a friend, actually, my best friend of like 8 years. I met at Rose City Comic Con, and we've stayed in touch. And I go back as many times as I possibly can to go stay with her and also attend the convention. So it was really cool. They had some really nice celebrities. Again, kind of the same ones that flow through the circuits. So it was like I talked to somebody that was in Edmonton. They're like, "Oh, I'm going to Rose City next weekend too," and I was like, okay. But again, Artist Alley, like that's where I find myself a lot. Like I'm not a vendors type person, like buying the pops and things like that. I'd rather support the local artists that constantly change their style and have new things. So I'm always spending money in Artist Alley, and actually end up getting tattooed at the convention. So
nice.
That's why I was like, you guys don't have tattoo places at your conventions? That's weird to me, but Yeah.
Some of them we do, some of them we don't. What's funny is Windsor is also, for Canada, Windsor is the Rose City, which is hilarious because it's a okay. Gonna say something a little less flattering, but it is not a rose by any stretch of the
There's
imagination.
nothing
I can tell you,
rose in Windsor.
no, but it is funny that because they had a first year in Windsor this year, also called Rose City Con, that they did early in the year.
Oh, okay.
And from what I heard, it went okay as far as that goes. So
Yeah, like I find stateside ones are a little bit different than here. Like, just for sense of like vendor wise or artist wise.
You
Welland?
don't say.
Welland near me is also the Rose City. If guys, if anybody's been to Welland makes Windsor look like the nicest place in, like, Welland's. I mean, if that's not the armpit of Canada, I don't know what it. Welland is
Canada.
Welland is terrible. There's nothing rosy about that town. Yeah. Anyway, sorry.
No, it's all good.
As
So,
you were
yeah.
saying.
So Portland's a great con. It's still a smaller con. I find it to be not as crazy big, but the cosplay there is crazy. And like, again, cosplays that I don't usually see in like Calgary and Edmonton area. These ones are like completely different and a lot of different genres that you normally wouldn't like see on a regular basis. So that was really cool. They have an amazing costume contest too. It's a great experience. If you guys ever get a chance to go to a stateside convention that you don't want it to be overwhelming, cost you a crap ton of money, that type of stuff, Portland and Rose City Comic Con is honestly one I would highly recommend.
Freakish, have I been to Red Deer, Alberta? I have not. The furthest west I've been is Winnipeg, and once you hit Winnipeg, you're like, I don't need to go any further west.
Yeah.
I've seen more than enough, thanks. I'm all right, because Winnipeg sucks.
Winnipeg's a tough crowd. They're a tough crowd.
Goodness gracious.
Do they have a convention in Winnipeg?
They do.
I think Kid went, didn't he?
It's at the end of this month.
Oh, the end of this month. Okay.
Yeah, they always do it around Halloween, which is a piss off because it's like I don't want to spend my Halloween like weekend driving to Winnipeg and coming back. It's always
I don't want to spend any weekend driving to Winnipeg.
That's true. Winnipeg Con, it's good.
It's like anything else in Winnipeg.
Yeah, it's not the best of the best, but it has a good community, so it's nice to see the people. But
are they Winnipegans? Is that what they're called? Do they call them Winnipegans?
Yeah.
Winnipegans? I don't know. Are there any Winnipegans? Is there any is anybody from Winnipeg? I'm from Winnipeg. Eric, this explains so much.
So what are they called in Winnipeg, Eric?
What do you guys call yourselves other than I'm sorry that I'm from Winnipeg? Like, what do you call yourself when you're not just crying?
Winnipeggers.
Winnipeggers?
All right.
That sounds like a movie.
Yeah.
No, I'm not a pegger.
Yeah. I'm not a pegger. Well, it sounds like you can't say you're from there and say you're not that, because that's what it sounds like.
It's an interesting place, but they ended up not having a convention for quite a few years, and they just started bringing it back. So I heard
you want to know why? You're in Winnipeg. That's why. Why are you guys having a convention? That means people have to go to Winnipeg. Nobody wants to go to Winnipeg. Stephanie's saying she's a little nervous for the Winnipeg Expo, to be honest. I don't blame you.
It's honestly, I don't know, with the new ownership, it seems to be pretty decent. But I don't know. Last time I was there was,
you could that season, you could catch a Jets game.
Yeah.
So it might not be
I think
a total
it was
loss.
like 8 years
Jets
ago.
are in town.
8 years ago was my last Winnipeg Con. So I got nothing from then on, and I also said I probably wouldn't go back unless I was asked to go.
I do not blame you. Sorry, then would it be the Northern National for all of us?
Yes.
Would that be the next thing?
Yeah.
Then it's the Northern National. So we just did the Northern National this past weekend. So that was in Windsor, Ontario. We got invited out as the Geeks and Co. We were there for all 3 days. It was the inaugural. I always have a hard time with that word, so I always have to like mentally say it before I the inaugural.
For the people in the back, the first one.
Run by some of the same people that ran Windsor Comic Con back in the day before COVID basically killed that con, and it never kind of came back. So this was sort of that, and the Rose City Comic Con they ran earlier in the year was kind of like they're kind of, I don't want to say they're competing for that same audience, but they're kind of competing for that same audience. So It was up on the 3rd floor of the hotel, and yeah, Cutie was there. We were in a room again, which I mean, we discussed at length after the Fan Expo thing, and it wasn't quite the same experience, but it wasn't not the same experience either. I mean, when you can see people out in the hall just walking by or walking into the main area and just not even looking your way, and then watching them leave and just never even knowing that you're there, it does get a little frustrating, obviously. Frustrating to the point there, my 2 main guys here and their Predators were, I don't want to say you guys were never at the booth, but every time I turn around, you guys were just gone to wander off somewhere because there's not a whole lot happening in the room.
Yeah, it was almost pointless to stay in one spot, especially in your guys' epic costumes.
Yeah. So other than that, I didn't hate the setup of the con. The main area was pretty cool.
Was quite nice.
Yeah. So as far as that goes, it was a little kind of all over the place because I think it was trying to have a hard time finding out what it wanted to be. Like, was it a trading card sports con? Was it a geek con? Was it like a niche Godzilla con? Was it like it couldn't quite get a handle on what it wanted to be.
It was trying to hit so many genres in one shot.
Yeah.
That it was hard to divide and conquer.
But I think the name, though, was telling. It's a collector's con, right? It's the Northern National Collectors Convention. So I guess whether you're a baseball card collector or a Pokemon card collector or a Funko Pop collector or a, you know what I mean? Like, there was all sorts of stuff. There were comic books. You know, like, I think I saw comic books at a convention for the first time at London Comic Con this year. They don't have comic books at freaking conventions anymore.
Oh, they got all kinds of them at Fan Expo. What are you talking about?
London had comic books. These guys had comic books.
I know. So did Fan Expo. So
they had a lot of hockey players.
They did.
A lot of Detroit Red Wings and Boston Bruins alumni.
I was going to say, what's hockey?
I thought you were Canadian.
I am.
And Western Canadian, too. She's in Edmonton, though. What are you going to do? The teams out there suck now. The Flames and the Oilers are dog
They've only had the best player in the league for the last 12 years and still can't make it to the playoffs. So.
Exactly.
Well, they make it to the playoffs. They just don't make it very long.
Yeah, we just dribble into it. And we're like, not for us.
Yeah, so there were some cool moments. We got to do a couple panels up on the main stage. Geeks and Co. as part of like sort of the cosplay contingent, which was another kind of contingent that was also involved in the con itself.
We met another Predator.
We did meet another Predator.
So we got to meet Dane DeLegro last year at London Comic Con. We met Brian Prince, who is the fugitive Predator in The Predator from 2017, 2018. I think
2018.
Yeah. So we got to meet him. He came and hung out at the booth for a while.
So nice.
He was so nice. He was so cool. He did some pictures with us.
He was generous with his time for sure.
He was. They set up some photo ops, which the photo ops didn't go down very well. I don't know. I don't know how photo ops typically work. Like, I've never been involved in them.
Not like that. Not like that.
And I've never really bought a photo op. Anytime I've been in a photo op, it's because I've been asked to be. So I don't really know how it all works, but this doesn't seem to be how it's supposed to work. And I don't want to talk for anybody else, but I could feel frustration from the celebrities because they were right behind us, right? Just so everybody know, the photo op area was literally behind our curtain. That's where they were getting set up. And so we would be able to peek in and mess with them a little and you know, have some fun, right?
I think that, like I said, when they're trying to do a whole bunch of different genres of things, like with the alignment of celebrities, like voice actors and, you know, all these different things, when they're doing so many different things, not everybody who's a Predator fan comes to the show because the Predator's there. You know what I mean? Like, there's so much, but not advertised enough to push and promote every single one because they have so many that are in so many different things that it gets a little chaotic.
We did. Yeah. The focus was kind of all over the place, and all the pieces are there. And I think if they just narrow the focus down a little bit, and I think if they are put a couple of people that maybe have worked, I got the sense that a lot of the delegation to some of the people that were managing some of the things. In fact, I know a couple of people had never done anything like that before. So I felt like some of them felt a little bit like they were swimming with sharks, like they weren't sure what was happening or what was going on. So I think as long as those base pieces stay there and they build on those and they narrow the focus and they get some good people into those particular situations to help them out, I think that can be a thing.
Yes,
I'm hoping it's a thing.
There's a lot of potential for that con.
That's what I'm saying.
Absolutely.
Because
there's definitely got to be a narrowing of focus. There's no question. Cutie's right. It was just too all over the place. So
I still think that a collector's convention is not something you see a lot of. And I think it's a little bit different than just a straight regular Comic-Con. And I feel like if that's the route they're going to go, they need to stick to that route.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
And maybe let go a little bit of the comic side or the movie side and the celebrity side and bring in celebrities from the Pokemon world. Bring in, well, there were a couple, but bring in more sports celebrities, more hockey players, baseball players. I think that would do them well.
Yeah, because all of those people did great.
They did. The hockey players made a killing, except for Marcel Dion, who was kind of just, I don't know what was going on there. But either way, these guys are right on the border, right? They're right on the Detroit border. If they can get the people from the U.S. to come and spend their very valuable dollars up here, they will be making a killing.
Well, and I think the thing is, too, is like, think about how many times you actually get to see a hockey player. Think of how many times you actually get to talk to them or get an autograph without paying crazy amounts of money to go to a hockey game and hope that somebody's going to sign and do these things. Like, that is crazy to have them at a booth.
Yeah, and in this case, we're talking about old-time hockey, like people that were like Jeff's idols when he was a kid. Like, you know what I mean? So that was really cool.
Very cool.
The ingredients are really all there. I mean, this con could explode and be a massive, massive con, but they need to get the people in there. That's my other problem with this con is it was very, very, very slow. There wasn't a lot of people in there. I feel like on the Sunday maybe was the busy day. Again, hard to say. What did you think?
I wasn't there.
Oh, you weren't even there. That's right. Yeah. So I want to say Sunday was probably a little bit busier than Saturday, not by tons. No. I don't know.
I mean, I thought Saturday was definitely busier for sure than Sunday was. Because you did have quite a large contingent of people waiting for those certain hockey players to show up or whatever. I know that was mostly Friday night and stuff.
True.
But I mean, overall, just the attendance just wasn't where it needed to be. That's all it was.
I think that's kind of expected, though, for a new convention. That's the sad reality, is that new ones, people are still up in the water, like up in the air if they're going to go. Are they not going to go? Is it going to be worth it? It's that hemming and hawing thing. It's the same thing with GameCon Canada. Like, people were like, do I? It's just another convention that's trying to do this, and that one failed, and like all these other things. So it's everybody who has to understand that if you guys don't try these events go away. And then you guys complain that the events aren't there. So it never hurts to try. The ticket price wasn't crazy expensive. It wasn't going to break the bank. You could go hang out, support local. Like, that thing for me is amazing. Like, that's what more people should be doing.
Yeah, I really love what they're doing. We need more of that out our way. We don't really have any conventions like that in the east end of the GTA in the Durham area. We need more conventions like that. Like, they're not the small little conventions, but it's not a big massive fan expo or a Toronto Comic Con, or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think we need more of those, especially out our way. And if those shows don't happen, these ones don't happen either. You know what I mean? If people don't go to the shows, then they disappear, and then you wonder why there are no shows, right? So
I think the biggest thing is even though it's being the first year, we expect hiccups, we expect chaos, we expect all of these things. We're not going to go in and be like, oh my God, this is perfect right off the hop. But if these people don't go and help with feedback or, these types of things, these aren't going to improve either.
It's also hard for the organizers, right? Like, if they don't make money off of these things, it's hard to justify to do it again and again and again, right? 100%. So for sure, we love going to these events. So if we want to keep them coming, we need to keep going. I mean, it's that simple.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Support them.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Speaking of,
Ali here is saying, are you saying Jeff is old?
Yeah, he's yawning all the time. Don't you see that?
I mean, I'm not saying he's old, but
Jeff works at 4 o'clock in the morning, which means he's up at about 2:30 in the morning. So
that sounds bad for you. That's unfortunate.
I mean,
poor life choices.
Your false sympathy is noted, and I am old and I'm sleepy as I usually am. But having said that, what are we all doing in the off season? Because for some of us, this is an opportunity to take a breath, recharge the batteries before March comes along. Just so you guys know, and just so we get this conversation out of the way right away, the Geeks and Company, obviously, we do have plans to be attending some of these cons next year, but there are going to be some caveats that we're going to have up front. So things like Fan Expo and the Northern National don't happen again. So you may be seeing something come up where like, oh, Toronto Comic Con, Geeks and Co are going to be there. Well, we might not be. We might just be there as media. We might not actually have a booth, depending on how things go. So keep that in your heads, kids, when it comes to con season next year. We can talk about future plans, but it's going to be with some caveats on our end. But having said that, the off season, JS, why don't you start? What are your plans from essentially October through February into March? What are you going to do with your time now that you don't have to pack up the fucking kids and move to Beverly Hills? That is.
Yeah. For me, building, and more building.
What?
Yeah. I got a brand new cosplay that I need to finalize and put out. I want to make more stuff that is going to go up on the site, and then I'm going to take the cons and sell. We need to find a way to fund this operation because right now we're in a situation where it just keeps costing us more and more every time we do something. And and don't get me wrong, guys, I love the support that everybody's been giving us. I cannot thank everybody enough. I need to do more. So I'm gonna be putting together products. Wow, there's a massive thunderstorm. You can hear the thunder, I'm assuming. Wow.
Wow.
So yeah, so I bought like shadow boxes that I'm gonna be doing things. I bought some resin and some silicone so I can start casting and molding stuff and pumping out products. And like that's the direction I'm going over the winter, so that when the con season starts next year, we'll have a bunch of stuff that people will be able to grab. That'll be available throughout the con season. When it's gone, it's gone. But in the meantime, try to get ahead of myself and get some stuff on the table.
Branding, kids. Fucking branding. Let me tell you.
ABB.
Always be closing. I mean,
always be branding.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah.
Oh, I
know. Okay, Cutie. That's what JS is up to. I think we all know what you're going to be up to in the off season, and it's not taking a break. So
there is no off season for Cutie, really.
Sam, that's actually what I was going for. Thanks for picking up on the walk in there. Cutie, what are you going to be up to for the next 4 months?
Well, right now is October, so it's spooky season, and I am doing my 13 looks for Halloween, which is why my makeup is the way it is. I have a shoot after this, so I have to go and deal with that. And then once that's done, I have more shoots planned with costumes that have been in a closet for a very long time. And then same thing, just constantly building. And then December will hit and I'll do my 12 days of Christmas for December. And then the new year, I start a brand new cosplay on the 1st, right at midnight. And it's a 24-hour build. So I kick off every year with a brand new costume to get the groove back, to, refresh everything and start from scratch.
Bonkers. So dumb.
Let's take a break and regroup by putting together a 24-hour costume.
Yep.
Hey,
cute but dumb, everybody. Cutie, everybody. Cute but super, super. No, I'm just kidding. She's not dumb. She's got a thing. This is her thing. You're just not happy unless you're busy doing shit.
Yeah, I feel really bad having downtime. It's a problem. I always say I'm a workaholic, and it's true. It shows in everything that I do. However,
no, but this is also a source of income for you, right?
Of course, If I stop doing what I'm doing, I lose income, and so for me, there's no Like, it's no thought process. It's wake up, okay, it's even Christmas. I take like 3-4 days off during Christmas. And that's literally just to do one day of like cooking and having friends and everything over, the next day to like clean up everything, the third day is to go shopping to do the 24-hour cosplay, and then I prep everything. So it's like, yeah, it's a lot. And then my next con will be April, which is Calgary. So I'll probably try and get a couple big builds done by then and see, because I want to do more Pokemon armor. I've wanted to do it for a very long time and I haven't. And I did the Charizard, which is one that's been on my list for 7 years. And I finally just tackled it. And I love it. It's like amazing. So I'm like, well, why stop now? So I might try and do a couple more builds. Foam is always my worst enemy, and I've been doing a lot more foam this past year, so I'm feeling a little bit more comfortable and confident with it. So I'm hoping to keep that going.
Nice.
Yeah.
What about you?
Sleeping because he works at 4 in the morning.
I get. Yeah, the problem is I keep getting roped into shit. So like for whatever weird reason, it's like there's always stuff. Like next weekend, I've got Crowfest on the 14th, and I'm going to be hosting the costume contest for that. On the 15th, we're having our big Star Trek Day for Renfest in Dorchester. We're up to 12 guys on the away team now, guys. So if you're looking to come on board the old USS, whatever the fuck we're calling this ship, USS Piss Off Period Piece cosplayers, then jump on board. Any era, any show, anything, it doesn't matter. If you have a Trek cosplay and you feel like joining us, like I said, we're up to 12 now. We're going to shoot a little thing as well, a little vignette that we're going to post. I'm sure somebody will throw it on TikTok or something, but we're going to see if we can get it up on the Geeks and Co channel.
You're going to do your S&W Pike?
I don't know if I spill any beans here. I'm doing something. Yes. So like I said, we're up to 12. If you want in on the Renfest Trek thing in particular, or you just want to like pal around with us, let me know. I'll add you to the group chat on Instagram. And right now, I think the plan is Sunday at noon. We're looking to meet up at Renfest and do that. Then I've got a couple of different Halloween parties, both I got one on the 20th and one on the 28th. Spill the beans. I am shooting a film, a short movie.
Beans. Spill the beans. Spill the beans.
No. I'm shooting a film with Mr. Robert Bellamy, who runs CK Expo. I'm doing that on the 21st and 22nd. Actually, that's back in Windsor. For a town I'm not a huge fan of. I just find myself going back there. So, yeah, it's a movie. Yeah, I think what we're looking to do, he's got a script, but we're shooting like 4 or 5 scenes. I think it's like a proof of concept. We're going to shoot at some scenes, and he's going to shop it around and see if we can get funding for it, so we can actually budget the film. It's a biker drama. That is like a Sons of Anarchy type of thing, so should be interesting. Yeah, he asked me, he's like, dude, I need you to play the lead. I was like, oh, okay. So I'm like,
you get to pretend you're tough.
No, I do. Like, here's the thing. So my character is a lawyer who has like left the life to become a lawyer, and then his father passes away in unforeseen circumstances, so he kind of gets dragged back in. So tat it up, Jeff. Yeah, no.
He has the most amazing tattoo, guys. Have you not seen it?
Why don't you shut your filthy whore mouth? D. McInnes, please add me. What is the date for the Trek Bomb? October 15th. So you're talking 10 days from now, Dean. And Renfest is in Dorchester. That is correct, John. It is in Dorchester, Ontario, which is a hop, skip, and a jump from London. It's in a great big huge field, the Dorchester Fairgrounds. I think if you just look up like Ren Fair on the Google, it will take you where you need to go. The USS Booby Prize, not bad. Yes. So Dean, I will definitely add you to. Do you have Instagram, Dean? I think you do. I'll have to check. Make sure you've got Instagram, Dean, so I can add you, because the main chat's going on Instagram right now. So and then I think there's something in November too. I don't know. So I keep getting dragged into shit, and I'm saying dragged into shit. I love doing it. I love being part of the community, no matter what I'm doing in there. And I feel like I'm a fairly active member of the community, and trying to go out there and represent and do stuff. I'm sure there's probably going to be another Suit Up for Jack thing that's going to be coming up soon as well. Word from Sean Sullivan, some off-season stuff. Yes, I'm saying. So there will definitely be some
in the off-season.
Geeky Holiday Market is also coming up. That's in December, so that's technically the off-season as well. So that's in London.
Thing, guys. I want to organize another Cosmos in the market, downtown Toronto, in the Christmas market. Cosmos in the district. It's in the beer district. We went out as Santa Predators last year. We had a freaking blast. The people loved it. If we can get a group of cosplayers and go drink some beer.
Don't drop your mask this time.
Oh, dude, that was terrible.
See,
That was
I wish I
terrible.
was near you guys. I'd go to all of this stuff in a heartbeat.
Right? Well, maybe you should think about moving your ass out here where all the cool people are instead of wherever the hell you are in Winnipeg or wherever it is. Sorry, and then I have a big build I'm planning as well to, and I've started that actually.
Define big.
So,
big,
13 feet wide, 14 feet wide, somewhere around
big
there.
Build.
So
I can dig it.
Yep. So we'll see what happens there. It's going to happen.
Well, the other one is also technically a fairly big build considering the amount of chrome you're going to have.
That's true. Yeah, that's fair. But that one's Wait, chrome. Which one is that one?
Well, isn't he chrome or is he gold?
Who?
His armor. What do you mean? Who? You showed me the prints this weekend. The helmet's printed and everything.
That's actually the print is done tomorrow. Actually, so it's kind of like a burnished gold, bronzy. It's almost like a bronzy
color.
Yeah, okay. That's not. I don't really think that's a big build, not compared to the other one. The other one's the bigger. I'm not spilling the beans on that. Sure. That's the bigger build for sure.
You better tell me.
I'm not fucking telling you shit. Yeah, that's probably, and then just planning out the year's cons because I mean, we do too many of them. I do too many of them. So trying to figure out what I'm going to do, what I'm going to pass on, and go from there.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, it's at that point where you gotta start.
Hey Sam, is it a suit or a prop? Yes. Chantel and I are playing some Christmas stuff. We are in. That's very cool, Nada. There you go. And Red Moon Glassworks, our friend Stephanie, she just got confirmation. I'm in the London gift market. Yay! We will see you there. And Rob saying my Predator mask went flying at Northern National thanks to JS Fiberglass backing them after the Christmas stayed in one piece as it smashed onto the sidewalk.
Yeah, so same thing
there
happened
you
to
go.
Rob this weekend where he was only on 2 magnets. So our masks have 4 magnets, but same thing for me last year at the Christmas market. 2 of them were ripped off. So I only had 2 magnets holding my mask, and the minute I looked down, it fell. Rob did the exact same thing. He only had 2 magnets. It fell. It hit the sidewalk, but it stayed in one piece because we fiberglassed them over the winter. So
you guys need to put your magnets in little fabric pockets to glue them to your foam. They will not pull off.
Sorry, what do you mean?
So on my Wonder Woman chest piece, for instance, in Toronto, you know how it kept just popping off and I'd be able to just pick it up or whatever? All the magnets are hidden in a piece of it's like a little pocket of fabric that's sewn around the magnet. So when you glue it to the backing of the corset or the other piece, it won't pop off. The fabric adheres better to foam and stuff like that versus just the magnet.
So the problem I don't think is the magnet coming off of the foam as much as it is coming off of the plastic.
Same thing. The fabric will glue way better to plastic.
Really, eh? Well, that's good to know. Allie's saying Halloween. Also, I got invited to a pirate party in November.
Nice. Sweet. Go there and get all the booty.
I mean, we should do a pirate party somewhere.
Well, I think it's September 19th is Talk Like a Pirate, International Talk Like a Pirate Day. I think it's September 19th or somewhere around there. So we
missed it now.
Yeah, we did. But maybe for next year we can have a pirate party for sure. I think that's about it, guys. I think we'll probably kind of wrap this up. Halloween Haunt at Groot's in London. Yeah, for sure. If you're going to be in the London area, he's got a pretty cool little Halloween walkthrough there in London.
Our French Sheer Creations also has quite the Halloween setup and haunted house going on in Burlington.
She's in Burlington. Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah, I forget what it's called now. We'll have to figure that out and actually post
Ravenwood?
it on the Instagram.
Ravenwood, I want to say.
Something like that, yeah. Ravenwood Mysteries, Ravenwood Haunt. I forget what it's called now. Look up Ravenwood on Facebook. And if you're in the Burlington area, go check it out because
absolutely
it's going to be something else.
It's going to be crazy.
Yeah.
Leave us some comments below, guys, if you're going to go back and watch this on YouTube about what your plans are in the off season. What are you going to be doing? Are you a mad woman like Cutie down there and you're just gonna be working the whole time? Are you gonna be working on branding and merch like our boy JS, or are you just gonna be building shit and trying to take a long deserved rest? for the off season. Our friend John from the Canadian Podcast Awards reminding us, don't forget to nominate your podcast for a CPA, Canadian Podcast Awards.
Hey, we should. Yeah.
We absolutely should.
Yeah.
Ravenwood
Sean is
Asylum.
saying Ravenwood
Yeah.
Asylum. That's what it is. Thank you very much, Sean.
Yep.
We're gonna we need to get Sean on the podcast as well.
We do have to get.
Tried to get him on tonight, but
busy guy.
He's too busy for us.
So I was secondary.
He's a big deal.
Yeah, I know.
You were like at least 7th or 8th that week. Yes, there was a stack list of resumes, and we went through a whole shit. We were like, I guess we got to ask Cutie again. I don't know. Didn't we just see her last weekend?
I know. I'm surprised.
It's too much, too soon.
Right?
No. We love having you on. Thank you so much for coming on today. You have an open invite. You can come back whenever you want. Yeah.
If you haven't already, make sure you click that like and subscribe button. Costs you absolutely nothing. It really, really helps us out here at the Geeks Company.
It really does.
And make sure we're going to keep doing these shows. If you stop liking us, if you stop watching us, then we're not going to do this anymore. No, that's not true. We're just going to keep doing it. We're just those kind of nerds anyways.
The whole time.
Yeah. I mean, that's how it started, right? Just two nerds talking to each other.
Yeah, that's all it was. And now we have this media empire in front of us. Look at this.
Media empire. Yes, there you go. All right. I think that's going to be it for this week, folks. Thank you very much for watching. You stay geeky. I'm sure we'll see you next week. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Geek Geek Podcast. Like always, if you prefer to listen to us, you can find us on all major podcast platforms. Now, make sure you don't forget to click that like and subscribe button, as well as the notification bell to make sure you never miss an episode.